Hello, hello, and welcome here. Hey guys, welcome here and welcome to my coffee maker taste test. My name's Paul, for anyone who doesn't know me. I am a guy who lives in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And yeah, something that I do, I do all kinds of stuff. I like to explore and have adventures in my community, celebrate food and parks and sort of life in general. And I like to play music sometimes. I like to write, to perform. And among the many things that I like to do is I like to drink coffee. So I have a couple different coffee makers here at home, which I like to use from time to time in several different ways. And I thought that it might be fun today to make a bunch of coffee and then taste it and see what the difference between these three different coffee makers is. Now, what I have here today is I have a French press, and I also have a Moka Pot, and I have a Bosnian coffee maker. So these are three coffee makers that I use. I use from time to time, and and I thought that it would be good for me to try tasting them and sharing my thoughts about these different coffees and which one I think is the best, or maybe for sure I am going to rate them. I'm going to, one of them is going to be crowned champion. But also, I just want to maybe talk a little bit about when I would drink particular coffees and sort of what I think of them and sort of how they're best suited. So this is a French press. This is a French press that we've had for a while. I sort of feel like a French press just sort of became my go-to way to make coffee when I was in my 20s. It makes a good cup of coffee. It's not necessarily, you don't need like a whole perk sort of situation. You don't need a ton of different stuff to make it. You just need this, and you need your coffee grounds, and you need your hot water, boiling water. So French press, this has 3 scoops of coffee in it. And I just remembered, for all of these coffees, I'm using the exact same beans, the same grounds. So it's going to be the same across the board in terms of what's going into them. And really what I'm judging here is what is coming out of it, what it is producing with the same beans. Let me just grab those beans. So for all of these, I am using Kicking Horse Ola coffee. Shout out Kicking Horse. Kicking Horse Ola coffee is super delicious. It is really it is our go-to coffee bean. This is like a light roast coffee. I like a light roast coffee. I think that a light roast coffee, it's a little bit fruitier. It has a bit of body. I'm not a big fan of darker coffees. So, yeah. So that's why we have Kicking Horse coffee. It's sort of taken a while for us to sort of discover, us meaning me and my wife, for us to discover sort of what works for us, what we can consistently get and drink, and it always sort of turns out pretty good. So yeah, Kicking Horse coffee, Ola beans is sort of their light roast, and it's easy to get here in Winnipeg. We just go to Superstore and we can get it, and it's pretty much always available. There are a bunch of other really great coffee beans, and I'd love to try them. I like trying other new kinds of coffee, but I think that I have a preference towards a lighter roast, towards something that sort of has a what I would call a flavorful, sort of a fruitier kind of a body. Okay, let's get into it. This coffee is currently pretty hot, so I think that we should try some coffee and see what it tastes like and talk about it a little bit. So first up, let's try this French press coffee. Fresh made just now, obviously. I just made all these coffees. What you do with a French press, for those of you who don't know, is you just get this, which is basically like a big beaker mug. This has 3 scoops of, again, Kicking Horse coffee. So it's got 3 scoops of coffee in here, 3 scoops of ground coffee in here, and put 3 scoops at the bottom, and then you boil some water. You pour the boiling water on top. Then you put this little kind of lid thing onto it, and you have it just resting right. It's got sort of like a sieve type lid that you leave it, or I leave it to steep for about 10 minutes. So what this really is this is like a steeped coffee. French press is your coffee is sitting in boiling water, steeping like tea, like you would leave a tea to steep and for the coffee to sort of like, for the coffee to be absorbed, for the water to absorb the coffee flavor. And then after about 10 minutes, you get to do the super fun part, which is pressing down the French press. Here we go. Press down the French press. And then as you notice sort of through there, usually what you end up getting is you get a darker color on top than you have on bottom, because you're literally like pressing the coffee, the grounds, the steeped coffee grounds, you're pressing them through the water. So it really fills out the flavor. So let's pour a bit of this and see what this tastes like. So this is a French press coffee. A French press for me is really like my go-to daytime coffee. You know, we have actually a bigger aluminum or steel, metal. We have a bigger French press that we use throughout the day, and it makes a lot of coffee, and then we just sort of have it throughout the day. It makes a nice flavorful coffee. It makes a lot of coffee. It makes more than 1 cup of coffee, which is something that I like about a French press, is you can kind of go back to it. So we don't have a coffee perk here at home. So what we have instead is a French press. Yeah. So that's sort of my use for a French press, is throughout the day coffee, you know, something that you can have, you can go to work. Maybe it'll get a bit cooler, but it's flavorful enough. You can sort of throughout the day, I do sometimes in the winter, I do microwave my coffee a little bit, add a little bit of cream or sugar. In the summertime when it's really hot, cold French press coffee is great for like iced coffee or anything in the afternoon. Yeah. So I think French press, it definitely has its place. There's a lot of uses for it. It's really hot, so I'm letting it cool a little bit, because I don't think I want to burn myself. That's not part of the taste test. Maybe it is, but let's taste it. Yeah, it's good. It's definitely like a really good coffee. You know, no complaints whatsoever. If I was served this coffee anywhere at anyone's house, I'd like it. It's just middle of the road, good coffee. I really like these beans, so I like the coffee even more because of the beans. Yeah, it's really good, but I would say a French press, maybe I'm turning into a little bit of a coffee snob, but I would say that a French press, there's nothing necessarily special about it. It's just good coffee. It's just a good, reliable coffee maker. If you're going to go camping and you want to have coffee for yourself and some friends, yourself and your spouse or your partner or whatever, French press is a great bet. I might recommend not bringing like a glass French press, although we sometimes have and we do. Then you want to pack it kind of with some cloth, etc., and keep it pretty safe and secure. But yeah, French press, super good, run of the mill, good coffee. Yeah. I'm going to do a rating at the end. Instead of numbering these right now, I'm going to sort of go through and just kind of talk about them, because I want to reserve full judgment until I've tasted all 3 of these. If you guys are just showing up, welcome here. My name's Paul. I do all kinds of stuff. one of the things that I do is I drink coffee from time to time. So I thought that it would be fun for me to do a coffee live stream where I taste different coffee makers and I compare them. These are 3 different coffee makers that I have here at home. One is a French press. This is called a Moka Pot, and this is called a Bosnian coffee maker. Um, yeah, these are all 3 coffee makers that I use from time to time. So I thought that it would be pretty nice to taste them out and really like compare and contrast the different kinds of coffee that they make. For all of these coffees, I'm using Ola, Kicking Horse Coffee Ola beans. This is a light roast coffee bean, and it's my favorite bean, I guess. I mean, it's super reliable is the thing. I guess at my age, I'm less about my favorites and I'm more about the things that I can rely on because I really like routine, I like predictability, and things that I like to have again and again. So, Kicking Horse Coffee Ola beans are a reliable bean that I can get here in Winnipeg, which is where I live. Okay, Moka Pot. So, I would call this like a wonder of engineering. A Moka Pot, what happens is you put your coffee at the bottom here, and it's got a filter inside it where you pack your coffee grounds into, and then you put it on the stove and you cook it, uh, put it on a hot element, and the water will boil, and it will boil through the beans. And this top section is where the coffee comes out at the end. So this is not steeped coffee. This is actually sort of like a cooked coffee. I'm not I'm not a scientist or a professional chef, but this is a different process. The coffee beans have not been steeped in hot water. They have been the hot water has boiled through the beans, whatever that's called. I would call that infusing it, but I think that some people would debate me on that, and I'm not a debater. So anyway, this is a Moka Pot. Basically, what it does is it produces it's a bit more like an Americano or an espresso. This coffee maker is something this is my go-to for my morning coffee, my first coffee in the morning. Like I go for a morning jog first thing every morning, and then I get home and I make myself a Moka Pot coffee, and I go through my morning routine with a cup of Moka Pot coffee. Super good for like a coffee first thing in the morning. At least that's how I like to use it. So let's taste it. Moka Pot. Oh boy, that's a lot. That's okay. We're gonna go with that much. Yeah. So this we used to have an espresso maker, and it didn't make it. It died. Our espresso maker died. So I used to always have an espresso first thing in the morning, or like an Americano, a long shot of espresso. And then we transitioned over to this Moka Pot. My wife got it for me because she's amazing and she knows more about everything than I do. And she thought that I might like a Moka Pot. And it turns out that I do. So let's give it a taste. That's wild. It's just tastes so different. It's the same beans in both of these. And yet this just tastes, again, I don't know what other word to use than infused. It's richer. It's a richer coffee flavor than the French press. Something about that process of boiling the water through the grounds, it creates a different flavor. And I'm also going to say it's fruitier. It's a fruitier flavor than the French press. The Moka Pot, I feel like what it does is it tastes more like what the coffee beans smell like. When you have your coffee grounds and you smell the coffee grounds and you smell that sort of fruitiness, etc., sometimes that's lost when you steep it or when you put it through a perk. But something about a Moka Pot is it retains that flavor profile. And I would go so far as to say that it actually elevates the flavor of it. I really like a Moka Pot. Here, I'll show you guys what it looks like inside. So that's inside the Moka Pot. There's still a little bit of coffee in there, but as you can see, it's got this little kind of spigot at the top. Maybe that's the wrong word, but it's got a little hole at the top. That's where the coffee, it's boiling through and it's coming out there and then pouring down into this sort of whole chamber. So it makes about a cup of coffee. Doesn't make as much coffee as a French press. So if you want to have a coffee for you and some friends, etc., French press might be the way to go. But if you just want like 1 cup of coffee, a Moka Pot is awesome. I have a lot of nice things to say about Moka Pots because I really like them. But suffice to say, let's just say that this is special. It tastes like a special cup of coffee, like a good coffee for like a special occasion. If you want to if you want to celebrate or you want to just I know that for me also, my first cup of coffee in the morning is it's a nice time. That first sip when the coffee's been cooled a little bit and I just taste it and it goes down and I feel it. It's just really nice and special. And I think a Moka Pot really lives up to that moment really well. It's a great first cup of coffee in the day. And I would also go so far as to say that in the afternoon, if you want to make a cup of coffee after lunch, if you want to take a little moment and have another a special moment, special occasion, Moka Pot is really good. We also have like a milk frother, so we can make lattes and cappuccinos at home, and a Moka Pot goes really good with that as well. So what you could do is you could have you could froth some milk or heat up some milk, and you and your partner or your friend or whatever could each take half of one of these and half milk, and you could each have a special latte or cafe au lait or something. This feels a little bit more like a home cafe type coffee. Super special, gotta love the Moka Pot. Okay, let's move on. So this is a Bosnian coffee maker. My sister used to live in Bosnia, and she bought this for me. A Bosnian coffee maker is like a Turkish coffee maker. If anybody knows about Turkish coffee, maybe like Ethiopian coffee as well. Don't quote me on that, but maybe. But basically, or it's I don't know if you guys know about cowboy coffee, like a good camping coffee. You just have a pot or a pan and you put some coffee grounds and hot water and you boil it. That's what this makes. It's built to make coffee, but basically what you do is, again, I put 2 scoops in here. Oh, also 2 scoops in the Moka Pot. So 2 scoops, 2 scoops, 3 scoops. 2 scoops of coffee in here, hot water. I leave a bit of space in here because what ends up happening is this is going to boil you're going to just cook this on the stove. You're going to boil the water. And when it boils, something happens is first it's going to boil and it's going to create a ton of bubbles. So then you take it off as it sort of froths, etc. And you want to keep adding heat, keep it on the heat until you basically get a rolling boil going with this Bosnian coffee maker. And once you have a rolling boil going, you cook it for or I cook it for a couple minutes. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, I don't know, but I make it so I like it. Cook it for a couple minutes at a rolling boil and then take it off. So as you can see in there, maybe you can see, well, it's got a little bit of sort of grounds and stuff. It's boiled over, and it's not the cleanest, it's not the neatest. This is so great for camping, so great if you're going to go on a hike and you want to make a coffee on the hike. I have a little camping, super cheap camping stove. It's not even a stove. It's a little, I got it at Canadian Tire. It's a little rack that has a little candle wick, a little, what are those called? A little burner. It's a little, I think it's a petroleum wick. You light it. It basically has a one flame, like a candle type flame. And I put it underneath here, and it takes a long time, but eventually I will get a rolling boil going and I will be able to cook some coffee, make some coffee. And I do that when I'm out on a hike or something. And it's just fun. I like making coffee. I think that for me, coffee is so much, it is about the drink. You want to have a good drink at the end. But a lot of it for me is also about like the ritual and the process of it. And I think that this one has ritual kind of in spades, you know, because again, you can sort of take it out, you can make it, it's open, it's rustic, and it's a beautiful looking like little pot as well. Anyway, so there's no, so this does have the grounds are sort of living at the bottom here. Um, so when you pour it, you want to pour it very gently so that you're not pouring a bunch of grounds in. You will get some grounds in your coffee. It will be a little bit messier, you know, but it's another kind of coffee, and we may as well try it. Here we go. Bosnian coffee maker. Oh, maybe I could pour it closer so you guys can see. Check this out. So as you can see, like a gentle pour, just trying to keep as many of those grounds out of my cup as possible. Or I just go with a half cup. Then, I don't know, maybe you guys can see in here a little better. That's just like pitch black. You can't see anything. Okay. There's coffee in there. Okay. Bosnian coffee maker. Again, this is my go-to camping before we got the Moka Pot. So after the tragedy of our espresso maker dying, then I had no way to make a special coffee. And for a little bit, I was just making like a French press first thing in the morning, but that was a little bit boo. So I busted this thing out because I had never used it. And I used to make this after my morning jog. I would make this for my morning coffee. And again, the ritual was great. I feel like I like the ritual of making coffee. So let's taste it. It smells about the same. Again, same beans. Ola. This is Kicking Horse coffee. Kicking Horse Ola beans are in here. And tasting the Bosnian coffee maker. That is funny. They're all different. As you would think they would be different, but because it's the same beans in all three of them, I thought they would taste a bit more similar. I always have these like sporadically throughout the day. I never taste them directly side by side. So this one tastes like it's got the rich flavor. It's got a rich body to it. But I'm also kind of tasting like the metallic flavor, I feel like, or sort of the way it's been cooked on the stove. It's also cooked, like it's been boiled. So both of these, the water boils and your coffee like literally like soaks in boiling water. Whereas this is more like a steep, like tea. Okay, I do really like this. This is really good as well. Man, okay. Let me chase with some water. Okay. Clear palate. What do they smell like? I'm a little bit sick, so I can't smell that well. But I think they smell like coffee. Okay, let's try them again. French press. Yeah, this one definitely tastes like the weakest out of the three. And and this one definitely tastes the most flavorful out of the three. This one like has a strong, like rich body. And I think if I was going to go with the favorite, it would be out of these two. It would be out of the Moka Pot or the Bosnian coffee maker. Yeah. That is so interesting. Yeah, the Bosnian coffee pot is just like a little weaker. The Moka Pot, again, that process, that crazy engineering that goes into this thing where the water boils and shoots through it. I mean, it's not only boiling water, but it's pressure shot through the coffee. That is doing something amazing, something really special, something that I don't think these other two can kind of match up to. So I think probably out of these three, If I was going to say that I had one which was my favorite, I think that my favorite would have to be the Moka Pot. The Moka Pot is, yeah, that's just like a special cup of coffee. I would say that, I mean, really, it kind of comes down to like, it would be, my conclusion would be exactly what my description has been. I think that a Moka Pot is so great for any time you have a special occasion, you want to have a special cup of coffee, go with the Moka Pot. I think that if you're going to be out camping, and you want to make something kind of on a fire, uh, I don't know if you can get yourself where you can get yourself a Bosnian coffee pot, but I think something like this, or like a Turkish coffee pot. Like I think if you would go to like any Middle Eastern or like halal store, they should sell something like this. Maybe just a Turkish coffee pot, which is a bit smaller, typically, but it would be great for camping. And if you're at home and you don't have a perk, but you want to get a coffee maker so you can make a good cup of coffee throughout the day, you're not going to go wrong with a French press. French press does make really good coffee. I mean, compared to these two, it's a bit different, but these also only make like 1 cup each. So, yeah. So that's sort of their drawback, is that they don't make as much coffee. So, yeah, that's a lot of coffee. Thanks for watching. This has been my coffee maker taste test. I would love to do more live little things like this in the future. If you haven't already, please take a look at my channel, my account, subscribe, comment, etc. All that jazz, all that stuff. I'm just sort of experimenting with live streams these days. Just sort of thought, oh, why don't I start doing that? I tend to just make stuff that is like, I tend to make videos where I can like edit it and I can put them all together and do it all offline and then share it. But there's something kind of fun about doing stuff live where anything goes and it's all going in the video. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you guys want to see any other videos like this, or you want to see any other stuff, or you have any suggestions, just leave a comment, send me a message, whatever. Yeah, thanks for watching. And now everybody can watch me awkwardly try to turn the camera off and end the stream. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, I would also shout out Kicking Horse Coffee, Ola Beans. I'm going to shout out the French Press, Moka Pot, and Bosnian Coffee Maker. And just coffee in general. It's good stuff. And yeah, it's definitely worth celebrating. Beauties. Okay, bye-bye for now. And bye.